Good morning and welcome to the edition of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. For the last few months, maybe years, we have witnessed a new phenomenon, a new epidemic, the phenomena of leveling charges against political figures, against CEOs, against idols and icons of society, charging them with sexual assault, which is really shocking. The Me Too movement has further enhanced these charges and the validity of them. And I'm clear about that all persons at the helm of affairs, be they political, be they social, be they in entertainment industry, be they be CEOs or the ministers and the presidents. Sexual assault is something to be abhorred, to be hated, to be detested, and all people guilty of this heinous misdemeanor must be punished. But at the same time, we have to be sure that there is some validity in the charges, that the charges are not frivolous. I remember in the old Greece, there was an emperor called Trajan, and he admonished, rebuked one of his provincial governors with suppressing Christianity. And he said at one time, anonymous accusations must not be admitted in evidence as a condition of charging him against anyone, as is setting a dangerous precedent. And this is more dangerous than the high-tech lynching. So the high-tech lynching is bad and charges are bad. Now, I do not say that if the charges are real, they must not be levied. They must be levied. And on one side, we can see the levity when we see the DNA proving Indian minister Andy Tiwari fathering a child when he was more than 60 years old, outside the marriage wedlock, of course. And on the other side, we have seen umpteen charges in USA. USA is particularly afflicted with this, and so is Canada. Let's take up Canada first. The former leader of the provincial party here in Ontario was charged with sexual assault and he resigned. And later on it was shown that there was no reality in that charge, that the lady who said that she had been sexually assaulted on the second floor of the house did not know that Patrick Brown lived in a house that had no second floor. He lived in a single-story building. So the ipso facto the charge was wrong. A week back, or 2 weeks back, Jagmeet Singh, the leader of NDP, threw out a member Wade for the same thing, for sexual assault. And he said, okay, show me the person whom I have sexually assaulted. And none could be found. Ultimately, after a great labor, they found two women. One said that he was standing too near to me. Standing too near, is that a sexual assault? And the other said, he shouted at me. Is that a sexual assault? That way, everybody would be guilty of sexual assault. Traveling in a public transport, you are near to everybody. And especially in a country like India and Pakistan, they are jam-packed public transport. So you are assaulting maybe half a dozen women in 1 minute. So the whole thing. Now the latest bombshell that came up was during the hearing of Judge Kavanaugh. Anonymous complaint in the big ring was lodged. And Senator Dianne Feinstein received this complaint in July. And she kept quiet about it, saying that it's anonymous. Anonymous complaints must be thrown in the waste paper basket. Secondly, if it was anonymous, why was it ever made public? There is a stench of skullduggery. Now imagine you are having a hearing of SCOTUS, Supreme Court of the USA Justice, and you have a charge of sexual misconduct against him. Naturally, you can't have such a person as a judge. I fully agree. And now comes the thing that Professor Ford, who charges him, has said that the thing happened in 1982. And this is 2018. That is 36 years back when he was a teenager. I do not say the boys would be boys. I have no hesitation saying that the boys, if they're guilty, must be punished. But then they must be punished when the crime is committed, not after 38 or 36 years. Even in law, there's a law of limitation. And after some time, you cannot invoke that, except in the case of murder and things like that. But even then, the report must have been filed at the time of occurrence. Now, when I think what Christine Blasey Ford did and what Senator Dianne Feinstein did, it left a bad taste in my mouth. First, let's come to Dianne Feinstein. She receives a letter in July. Hearings are going on, and she keeps mum till the day arrives, the day of reckoning, the voting is to take place. And then she says, well, I have an anonymous letter. And that letter says that he was guilty of misconduct, so he should not be there. As a matter of fact, it was not anonymous. Yesterday's Washington Times admitted that Christine Blasey Ford contacted them at the same time she contacted Feinstein. So the suspicion arises, is it a collusion with the Post and the Democratic Party to ambush Kavanaugh, an upright man against whom there is no complaint? And 67 students of that time have given a letter saying that such a thing not happen. And secondly, another student who was involved also said that this is false. Thirdly, if this thing happened, let's play the devil advocate. Why did she keep quiet for 36 years? She could have talked to her parents, which she did not do. She did not talk to any friend of hers. She did not complain to the principal or the provost. Why? Why was it that she was mum and quiet? Why was her tongue tied? And why did she come out now? She says that she never mentioned it to anybody till 2012. And 2012 also means 30 years. After 30 years, she wakes up one morning and thinks that she was sexually assaulted 30 years back, and then she tells her husband and goes for therapy. Now, the therapist's notes conflict with the story that she has given. But she says that this is because of the therapist's fault. He is guilty. He did not note down her story correctly. And this is the first time we have heard this story, or this thing, that the therapists are wrong because they jot down everything. Then, what is her background? She's a professor and a reputed professor, but she is a Democrat. She is a registered Democrat. Her social media account was immediately removed when she made the complaint. But somehow or the other, there is some information that she is a member of good standing of the resistance to the Republicans. She is among the 5,000 signatories, which was sent to the Secretary of Homeland Security and to Attorney General Jeff Sessions as a Democrat. So she's a Democrat. She belongs to the same riding, same constituency to which Dianne Feinstein, and she could have talked to her. She did not. She sent a letter and she said that I wanted to be anonymous. And then she contacts the press, Washington Post. So where do you believe her? And she did not say a single word for 30 years. Now let's assume that she's correct. Is it justified to rake up the things after 30 years? And especially when she did not complain the things. Levying a charge to which there is no witness, no evidence, there is no proof except an allegation of the lady, and then they said no woman will make such a accusation if it's not correct. This is height of nonsense. We have seen women play havoc with the lives of men, and we have seen men playing havoc with the lives of women. The justice and the equity demands that frivolous claims and time-barred claims should not be accepted. And that is what is required. Now, if this sort of a thing is allowed to happen, what would happen? You cannot have any person in authority because any Tom, Dick, and Harry or any Jane, Jill, or Susan can come up and say, well, this guy assaulted me 15 years back. I was going on a street and he pulled my arm. I kept quiet because I was afraid. But nonsense. Would we have any person of integrity come forward to serve? Because people of integrity, people of reputation value their integrity and their reputation much more than the perks of office. The result would be that the third-rate people whose integrity is in doubt and who have connection with all the underworld would come to the power, because nobody will dare lay charge against the person who is wicked and who is a crook. So, what do? As I said, Caesar's wife must be above suspicion, so our leaders, our CEOs, our political leaders must have an unblemished record. At the same time, the frivolous charges must be punished. Anybody making such a charge, which there is no proof and which has been delayed for 36 years, without any reason, should be thrown in the waste paper basket. But no, the person making the charge should be punished. The first reason is that he who murders a person murders an individual. He who murders a reputation murders a whole family. Now, Justice Kavanaugh, even if he is guilty, the very fact that the charges were not made at that time cannot be punished today. And why should his daughter be punished for a unsubstantiated charge levied after 36 years? She comes out of her coma and then levies a charge which has no meaning, which has no standing. Evidently, there is a collusion between the Democrats led by Dianne Feinstein and Professor Ford. Media, of course, is involved because media needs something to condemn, criticize, and censor Kavanaugh, who is a nominee of President Trump. And it's proven fact that Professor Ford is a member of the good standing of the resistance of the democratic movement. She is signatory to the letters sent to the Homeland Secretary and the Attorney General. So proofs are there. So it's a clear conspiracy. And such conspiracies need to be curbed. As a rule, immediate action must be taken in case of sexual assault charges. We cannot have our office sullied and spoiled. But any charge levied after a few years must be treated as a bogus charge. There is no reason that she could not complain to the principal. There is no reason she could not even talk to her parents and not to any friend of ours. Can you believe? A person would have no confidante at all. And if she accepted the fact at that time, she should have lived with it. Frivolous charges, time-barred charges, are charges without any evidence, should be treated akin to the destruction of the reputation of a person and a family, and also aim at destroying the social structure, and that is what is dangerous. I hope you understand that while we maintain the purity of the office, we cannot let it be spoiled by such charges, time-barred, without evidence, and which are levied as a result of conspiracy of the political opponents and nefarious media. Thank you.